select.
Oh, hello, we are back now. So, apologies for that. Technical difficulties on our end in the sense where Yarasu's timer was in fact actually counting variant 1, which is the new Loveless method rather than the old IGT method, which is sort of the equalizer here that we're using to make it a fair race between GameCube and PC. We do believe we now have that problem sorted, so we're good to restart now. Should be all good to go, I think. Yep, there we go. So Nug has just reset his time to 0. Just gonna see. Looks like we're about to start counting down our guys. Just checking that Boostler is ready. And then we will be off and underway. Well, an interesting start to the run.
Yeah, one of those little oversights that can happen with these console runners. You do sometimes just forget that they are playing a slightly different version of the timing method.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we do the best we can to make sure that things are nice and level to the best of our abilities, of course.
I think we're not doing too bad. This is the first time this has happened in the tournament, so nothing too major. As we see both runners now getting into it again.
Here we go. We're off and underway for real this time. Yarasu with IGT, the old variant 0 now, on his timing method now, so that should keep things nice and even for the race here today. Nug now loading in slightly later due to the GameCube not being quite as fast as the PC version. So yeah, it's important to note that while Yarasu will likely be ahead in terms of RTA for a lot of this run, provided things go well for him, that doesn't necessarily mean that Nug is behind, because what really matters is that number at the bottom of the screen.
And to note that any deaths or resets that Nug does take during this run will be added.
Well, sorry to cut you off, but hello, there we go. Fortune favors those who don't set up their IGT timer, apparently, because Yarasu lands CE skip. That's really unfortunate for Nug.
I can't think of a better reason to be cut off there, but Yarasu struggling a little bit to get onto that rail, does eventually get it. This can be the issue with bad cam C. If you're not quite comfortable with it, you can make a few mistakes getting onto the rail or in the rail section.
Yeah, of course, but I'm not sure Yarasu will care all too much. He's gliding his way into truck section now, sticking the somersault there. Nug playing catch-up now. Really, really unfortunate for him. But, I mean, hey, these things happen, as we were saying. It's a bittersweet thing to see when someone hits E-skip. It's jubilation for one. A really big, big hurdle to come back from for the other. And there we go, confirmation there that Yarasu's timer is in fact reading IGT now. 1:30:07, matching the in-game time. As Nug comes up towards the truck section himself now. Nice on those rails. Fairly clean skipless CE.
Kind of hoping there's no real controversy here. Obviously, this race, Yarasu saving about 35 seconds over his last skipless attempt. So I'm kind of hoping this race has a more than 35 seconds difference either way.
Yeah, I hope that isn't what decides the race, because that is a lot of that is very unfortunate for Nug if that is in fact how this swings. But still a long way to go just yet. Let's not come to that. There we go. Immediately we're seeing perhaps something swing better in Nug's favor. Yarasu messing up in Bigfoot there, losing a little bit of time.
Taking the death. Oh, hey, sorry, my mistake. I thought. I'm so used to playing the stage with no rings. I'm so used to playing this stage with no rings that seeing somebody get hit and not dying took me by a little by surprise.
With 34. Nug actually with a sub-2 skipless City Escape. That's a very respectable time considering he did go for the attempt on City Escape skip. So getting out of there with a sub-2 is a better case scenario for him.
A clean fight here gives him a chance to get maybe 13 seconds back, because we see a very good free piece here for Yarasu at the start of the level.
In the beginning room there, piece for Yarasu. Wind jump forward piece 2. Down low, having to climb his way back up now, but no real complaints for Yarasu, I'm sure, in terms of how things are going so far. For the rub of the green for him.
Wind jump board tends to be not a favourable piece, but when you get a free piece with it, it turns most sets in this stage into a pretty good set. So you won't have too many complaints.
Yarasu probably would have liked to have seen a little bit better execution from himself there with those pieces. Obviously, as we say, wind jump board, not the nicest piece to get, but after the beginning room piece, that free piece, probably would have liked to have seen a little bit better than a 31.
Well, I think what happened there is... he saw that that four whirling eyes piece, two it was, but being as it was his third piece, he was going to grab. I think he got it confused with the free piece that you can spot next to those swirling eyes.
Well, I was about to say that we saw a rough piece there for Nug with foot of the pillar, but fortunately, not quite as bad as it could be, as he does collect the free piece there between the red pillars, coming out with actually, I think, a better time than Yarasu. In that, despite arguably getting some worse RNG, he made it work.
So we do see Nug's closing this gap a little bit from that CE skip. Yarasu.
Obviously, he's got it all to do. You know, he skips such a huge gap. But this is the thing about these races, you know, you've really got to just, as you say, you focus on yourself, you just keep going. Don't think too much about what the other guy's doing, because it's all on you, you know? You can't affect anything else.
That you kind of have to take out the fact that this is a race from your head. If you start worrying too much about what your opponent is doing, you won't be focusing on your own run, and you may start panicking when you do make a small mistake and getting out of your own headspace. So, yeah, really a massive mental side in this tournament.
Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, you could argue as well that, you know, there is an element of strategy that goes into knowing how your opponent is doing. If you've got to resort to going for a skip you may not normally go for to save a race, that is important to know, but, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. You've still got to just focus on executing things for yourself, making those decisions as to whether you're going to go for consistency or time save, which we've seen a lot of runners do.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes, I mean, I personally am not a fan of actually checking on your opponent's position in the race. I'd rather runners play their own game and not worry too much. And not, I think sometimes, yeah, maybe can affect your decision making if you do like pop into the stream and maybe have a look. So I'm not the biggest fan of that as an option to be making. But at the same time, if you turn that stream on and you see you're 30 seconds behind heading into space, you're going to be taking those risks, and you could be throwing away your own chance at a victory if your opponent makes a mistake and you go for something risky and take that big death.
Well, that's the thing, you know, like going into a race where you're maybe not the favorite. I mean, a lot of people may think, okay, if I'm going to win this race, I have to go for this. If I'm going to, you know, be ahead, I need to make sure that I hit this skip. But it is really just about doing it to the best of your abilities, and in situations like that, hoping that your opponent makes mistakes, which they will. You know, we've seen a lot of runners get runs which are not necessarily representative of their skill level, but it's just the nature of how this goes. In these no reset runs, anything can happen.
Speaking of mistakes, we've not seen any major ones here from Yarasu. We have a very clean start to Metal Harbor. We're hoping that continues.
Yeah, very nice.
Looking at a very nice upgrade time. Is that a 19 flat? Oh, a 20 flat.
Nice.
96, sorry. It's a little bit blurry on the feed, but yeah, sub 20 upgrade. Very, very nice for him. As you see Booster coming to the end of Prison Lane.
I'm not sure if we're going to see Yarasu go for anything outside of the regular loop skips here. Not opting to go for a pulley skip, instead just going to take this safe route here, which will carry him nicely towards the missile area. He does not go for the birthday gap spin dash jump, which I have now nailed correctly, so I do not have to wish on bar a happy birthday. And we come off on missile skip. Lands the jump very nicely. As you say, a very clean Metal Harbor there from Yarasu. Just a fantastic performance so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, being as he didn't opt for any of the really truly risky strats, taking everything, probably under loop being the hardest thing he did go for, and getting a very clean one at that. So looking like a very, very solid time for him.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be important to note the times that that Yarasu's entering and exiting stages, as we see him come towards the end of Metal Harbor here with a 5:53 on the clock. Important to keep that in mind as we see how that looks on Nug's timer. To keep in mind just what the actual difference in terms of how this race is going to go is between the two runners. Because, as we say, Yarasu, as I said earlier, going to likely be very far ahead in terms of real time, but how we're timing this, it's going to be a bit technical, so just be sure to keep track.
We saw Booster there before the upgrade going for the spring routing rather than the long spin dash jump into the containers, losing only about a second, but people have and will continue to die for that trick throughout this tournament. So sometimes taking that 1 second time loss and almost guaranteeing yourself not dying is very much worth it.
Yeah, and landing missile skip too. I mean, that's the thing we were saying again. You know, it's all about making the choice between whether you want to play it risky or whether you want to play it safe. And, you know, I've got enough respect for all the runners who do opt for the safer strats to ensure a good run, rather than potentially throwing it all away. As we see Boostler coming towards the end of Metal Harbor now. Remembering, I think it was 5:53 on Yarasu's clock at the end of this. How does Boostler measure up? Let's see now, as we watch this blows up cutscene.
I believe that is 22 seconds, I believe, the difference.
See that update now, should be coming through shortly. Not quite just yet. I think he's going to take the chance to do it now. There it is, 6:15. So yeah, roughly in that ballpark of 22 to 23, as you say.
We saw Yarasu potentially lose a couple of seconds in that Shadow 1 fight with 13.5. So opportunity maybe for a couple of seconds back from Nug.
There's of course a lot of stages coming up later on in the run. I think we're in that sort of section of the run where not a lot will go wrong. Even the mistakes and time loss that you lose in these stages is not going to be necessarily the deciding factor. But it's important to make sure that you have a good start and don't let yourself fall victim to any of the very easily done mistakes that can happen in these areas of the run. Going to be interesting to see. Yarasu, I know, does often attempt wall run. I'm not sure if he's going to do it here. I have seen him hit it a few times in the past. Taking the upper spring there, jumping straight to it. Will he go for it? He is
going for it.
See, skip one.
And getting on the wall.
Two. There we go.
Oh, but hitting the vertex.
But
getting straight onto that light dash, so that's still faster, I think, than if he'd gone on to the taking the half loop.
Yeah, nice recovery there from Yarasu. Unfortunately, we couldn't see him pull off the whole thing.
Assuming he was doing the inputs right there, I think it's about a 10% chance to get that vertex, so very unlucky for him.
Yeah, he nailed everything other than that one misfortune. And now we're seeing Nug loading into Green Forest himself. I'm unsure what his preferred strat will be. Opts for the IGT-friendly restart there to save himself a little bit of time. As we see Yarasu come towards the end of the stage now. Another very, very nice performance from Yarasu. He's on great pace here.
So to explain that reset at the start there from Nug, some stages that have those cutscenes before you enter into the stage, I think there's 3 of them, notably in Hero Story, Green Forest and then 2 bosses, Bigfoot and King Boom Boo. By taking the reset at the start, you do load into the stage a bit faster the next time round, or the timer starts a little bit later. I believe it's under a second, I think about 0.85 or something in that region is what you would you'd save on the timer, and obviously minus the time it takes you doing that reset at the start. I believe it was under 0.1 of a second for him, so definitely making the most of that time save.
Of course, as we switched over to Variant 1 now, I'll actually hold that thought because Nug is lining up the wall run attempt. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out for him. But yeah, obviously switching over to Variant 1 for the majority of timing methods these days. That strat has been pretty heavily nerfed, so if we're seeing it in a run like this where both runners are using the older timing method, it does still have its viability. And I believe, if I'm not wrong in saying, if you are fast enough, you do still save a bit of time with it, even in Variant 1.
Oh yeah, definitely. If your menuing is quick enough, you're still saving potentially up to about half a second or so.
I know. Go ahead, sorry, no.
I know I'd save about still half a second, but yeah, you see, you're actually taking the second hit on it there, because this was sorry to cut that off, he's taking a death from Nug. Fortunately, did take the checkpoint just before that loop.
Yeah, not the worst death to take. Obviously, due to the nature of IGT, you don't lose quite as much time as it may make out. But Nug is going to want to make sure that he keeps those to a minimum.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Not for our sake, because these deaths and resets, we have to time them ourselves, being as he will just be using the level timer. So the less deaths he takes, the more even we will know the timer to be, or more accurate we can have the timer in a short period of time.
Absolutely. So hopefully we won't be holding our breaths come the end of this race with any potential back and forth as to what decision will be made. Hopefully this will, well, hopefully it's a good race, but hopefully the winner is not going to take us too long to figure out. We'll put it that way. Do it for Drum Basher.
We see Yarasu now at the start of Mission Street. This is the only cycle-based stage left in Hero Story since Bofa was introduced. You see him with a little bit of IGT abuse. Could have probably pushed that a little bit further, but playing it safe, understandably.
Landing weight hop to keep that pace going very nicely. Again, Yarasu with just little to no mistakes here. He's absolutely cruising through this run, performing very nice. Hopefully no commentator's curse. Look there, getting second skull from the top, fifth from the bottom. Carrying himself into Laughing Pumpkin piece 2 now. Not a bad situation to be in for Nug. Just depends on how this piece 3 is going to treat him.
Now, I'm not used to seeing Laughing Pumpkin as a piece 2. It's not a very common one, I imagine.
Oh, I think I may have mistaken that piece, actually. I was thinking of Laughing into Tears. This is a very rare piece, actually. Laughing Pumpkin is not something that's very common.
I think Nug even himself may have got mistaken there. I think he went over to Laughing into Tears and then realised the ping wasn't there. Taking that second in. Oh, and then very unlucky with his King of the Hill piece 3.
Back over to Yarasu. Looks like he's knocking off to go for 0 cycle, instead opting for half cycle.
I think maybe a couple of little mistakes there as he was approaching the weight and the sprint and the twitch.
Yeah, just a little bit of slowdown, which didn't quite get him over that 0 cycle line. But in fact, actually opting to go for first cycle instead, making his way over there.
I think he just fell a little bit short with his balls over to make half cycle, so it'd be about a 12-second time loss or so from missing that cycle.
Quite right. Now we see Nug also loading into Mission Street. I'm going to try and make a mental note here of, once again, just how these runners are looking as they come out of Mission Street, just to get a good comparison at this stage in the run for going up during up in terms of the gap between them. No problem. So, Yarasu coming up towards the end of Mission Street now. First cycle Mission Street. Almost an 11 flat there on the timeout. 10:59.96 for Yarasu. I'll just make a note of that to compare against Nug when he does finish off the stage.
You can't remember 2 frames off 11. Come on, Tethys. I have more faith in you.
I have a very short-term memory. I forget many things.
I've seen Nug there hitting weight hop.
Yeah, nicely done. Good on these balls hovers, considering they are difficult to execute on GameCube. You know, we don't quite have the button remapping luxuries that we have on PC when playing on GameCube. But Nug, a veteran of his setup, and a very, very respected ILM, I don't think he's going to be seeing too much trouble.
I didn't notice any free pieces in the cutscene there for Yarasu. And not noticing any at the top. If he does get the ping, he gets overturned minecart, I believe, into jail window. Very good second piece too.
Quite nice. If he gets a ghost room piece free, this is going to be a very nice set. Just coming towards the end of that wall run.
Getting most of the wall run, so looking quite nice. He does get a ping. And it's under the flattened ground. So very good set here for Yarasu.
Looks like Nug has gone and nailed 0 cycle, I believe. I did look away for a while, but fantastic execution there from Nug. Looking up some time there.
Yeah, looking at that time, yeah, this is a 0 cycle. You can get a 1:23 check there, so he lost a couple of seconds probably in the IGT abuse earlier in the stage. Looking very solid for about a 2:04 here, so yeah, they'll be saving about 12 seconds on Yarasu.
Yeah, that'll close the gap, and I have my mental note here, and it's actually not a physical note. I have a good memory. Yarasu with a 10:59.96 out of Mission Street. Going to be interesting to see how Nug compares. Give us a good estimate of how things look between the two.
So I'd expect that to be probably about a 21-second difference.
I think it was a 22 to 23 last time we checked. Into Green Forest, into the Shadow 1 fight rather. So interesting to see how that's closed, or opened even potentially.
So both these runners seem to have a very even little middle section there through Mission Street, the forest, and obviously Pumpkin Hill.
Nug has closed the gap very slightly. It's close to a 20.5 second gap as opposed to what it was earlier. So Nug keeping pace, you know. If we subtract City Escape, this is a very, very even run. So all Nug needs to do is keep doing what he's doing, and hope for a mistake from Yarasu.
Yarasu, of course, getting a good set in Aquatic Mine, so Nug going to be hoping for one of his own here. Obviously playing in the 4, but do spot the 3 piece. Even in 4x3, you can spot the wooden window piece. Choosing to go straight for it rather than going up to the top. Interesting decision.
Interesting to see, because normally you will want to go up and take this. Also going for the 3-piece checks. I'm actually unsure. I don't know if you can get a top room 3-piece with that piece. I may be mistaken. My set knowledge is not quite on the level of some other runners, but
I know 3 fans is
interesting choice there
possible,
for
but it does seem a bit high to me. And again, the same third piece that Yarasu got. So both looking at relatively even sets. I think Nug's a little bit slower than Yarasu's.
Coming out with a 37, I believe that is. It is indeed.
So still a very good time for him as we see Yarasu now entering towards the end of the Resident Auto Scroller.
Yeah, a good chance to sort of just weigh up how things are going so far. Of course, I don't think Nug could be doing much more, really. I think this is purely just both runners performing very well. Yarasu there actually taking a knock on that car. That'll lose him a little bit of time. Not opting to go for that balloon to give him one more speed boost, just riding it out. But yeah, I really do think that Nug couldn't really be doing much better. I think Yarasu's just performed well and got some good fortune as well in places.
So one slight difference to note as we enter Route 101 is Yarasu playing on the PC version, but the GameCube version of this game, the handling is slightly different for the kart racing. You have a lot more control over like your car's turn, as in it turns a lot faster. Probably playing a slight disadvantage through this stage is harder to control some of your wobbling around. So he's going to have to be moving that stick a little bit faster to try and keep straight.
Yeah, there are pros and cons to playing on the different platforms. Obviously, we've seen in other instances of kart racing levels where GameCube is an outright advantage. But yeah, it's a little bit more 50-50 when it comes to Route 101, just based on the nature of the stage. We're seeing Yarasu here coming up on pole hop section, doesn't land at the first try, won't go for a second bite of the cherry, instead just opting to make his way over to axle jump.
Understandable. If you don't trust your movement through the first part of the stage, it can be very difficult to make the cycle on second attempt pole hop. So understandable there from Yarasu taking the safe option and going for axle jump.
Yeah, not opting to go for GC skip either, which is certainly less risky than pole hop, especially if you're not making that cycle. But it's again one of those instances of opting to go for consistency and safety rather than running the risk. Going face first into the wall there, unfortunate for Yarasu.
Not a strat I think we'll be utilized too often throughout this tournament. Walls do tend to be the slower option.
Quite interesting there from Yarasu, some pauses. It's going to be interesting. I've heard some perhaps dangerous whispers for Yarasu in regards to Nug's performance when it comes to pole hop. I've heard he likes his IL jumps. I've heard he likes his pole hops. I think we'll see how that plays out as we come towards the desert section of the game. But Yarasu, by no means faltering here, still just keeping up that great pace which he has set for the entirety of this run so far. No real mishaps or errors from Yarasu.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what Nug's sort of expected time would be through hidden base. I know myself going for pole hop, I'd be expecting something of sub 145. So if he gets something similar, he'd be opening up getting some of this time save back and really narrowing that gap a little bit, because Yarasu are looking like a mid 150.
It is indeed looking like a 156, I believe that is on the clock for Yarasu. 6 or 8, my eyes can't quite tell. Still can't quite tell even with the larger text on screen. I think that's a 156.
156.17 it is.
But we're going to be interesting to see how Nug will approach this now as we see him load in.
Yeah, so that gap now 34 seconds. 1 minute 34, sorry, without the hidden base. So even a perfect hidden base here, Nug will not be ahead, but you can certainly close the gap to within under 10 seconds of a very, very clean run. So we'll see how it goes for him.
Making his march towards pole hop. Will he be able to pull it off? He goes for the pauseless jump there, I believe. Looks like he had a little bit of a clip there. Opting for the IL jump, not getting it, unfortunately. He will retreat to the backup strat. That is GC skip, which is, of course, in this instance, much easier to do because he is on GC.
It's practically impossible to fail, I believe, on GameCube. You can pretty much clip through the entirety of that wall without getting dragged down. The margin of error on the PC version a lot smaller. As we see Yarasu, they're taking an interesting method for the super
I don't see that all too often.
But
opting to go from the skull platform rather than closer to the wall.
But it did work out perfect for him as he gets first try through the second door as well. So looking like a pretty good pyramid cave for Yarasu so far.
Coming up on the section which has caused a lot of runners' troubles, sparked a lot of great reactions so far. We're going to see what Yarasu opts to go for. I have a feeling he's going to decide to go for Snake Skip here rather than anything else. He's putting himself in position. And he is lining himself up. Gets a lot of nice height. That's very clean. Yarasu is just looking relentless here, you know. I really don't see him slowing down.
Choosing not to do the Deku and tease us by getting up onto that snake and then just going for the gap jump instead. actually taking on the skip.
Ooh, doesn't get that super bounce towards the end, unfortunate. He goes for a second try, does actually get it this time. And doesn't opt for the final grab bounce. Interesting to see. Again, just playing it safe. Getting over the finish line. No need to risk this fantastic pace that he's on.
There's a 140. So yeah, very, very clean time there, 140.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we do see the Nug here coming here to about a 146. So saving about 10 seconds here on Yarasu. So that gap now, about 10 seconds or so, would have been entering into Pyramid Cave. So definitely pulling this back.
Closing the gap ever so slightly. Of course, this stage here that Yarasu has just loaded in might cause a little bit of discrepancy in terms of how Nug's
getting the free piece and the blue piece one.
Yeah.
So looking like the start of a very good set here for Yarasu.
Doesn't forget to do his routine grab with the upgrade, which we should all do.
So there is an opportunity, I believe, here. I'm not the most familiar with confirmed sets. Yes, he does take the set. Getting the drywall set, I believe it is.
Well. That is just... So if you needed an example of just how well things are going for Yarasu, there you go.
So great Death Chamber knowledge there from Yarasu, knowing the confirmed set, getting a 34. Very good time.
Fantastic from Yarasu. Goodness me.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Well, like you just have to feel sorry for Nug, because what can you do?
When somewhere in my mind, I knew that set existed in my mind somewhere. It was just like, well, it wasn't coming to me as soon as I saw those two pieces. But Yarasu, they're clearly on the ball with it. Getting a very good time. Potentially even golding his Death Chamber there.
I'm not sure if this might not be PB pace for Yarasu. I don't want to jinx him whatsoever, but I'm continuously being blown away. He's playing absolutely fantastically. There's Cat Boost there.
We did see Nug there struggling a little bit with the second door clip, but getting on the third attempt.
Yarasu's PB before IGT, before Variant 1 returning, I should say, currently sits at a 24.59. But keep in mind, this is also being timed in IGT, so there will be no debates as to whether or not it does beat it. Fantastic execution again there in King Boom Boo. No problems.
Nug, though, struggling to get up to the top platform with Snakes here, but I think it was a 10-second death he took there.
Oh, unfortunate from Nug.
But does nail the skip first attempt. We don't need to...
coming up towards the end now.
We will need to note down that 10-second death, as we see Yarasu struggling a bit at the start of Egg Golem.
We're also going to need to keep track of Nug's choices in Death Chamber, as of course that's the stage where we see the majority of Death Strats take place. And that can possibly adjust how the timer is going to look. Not necessarily accurate, depending on how we weigh things up here.
Well, Yarasu, you're getting a little unlucky with his super bounces. So, not the cleanest Egg Golem, but getting all three of the hits and avoiding the ballerina. So he should be able to close this fight out. Probably looking at a mid-40. Oh, falling off the arm though. Taking the back up round the back.
Yeah, I don't think he... Was I seeing super bounces there from Yarasu, I believe?
Proper super bounces, yeah. So
yeah, not opting for your patented method, which is definitely much more consistent.
Oh, we see a green ping right off the bat for Nug here. Getting two mouths, a great piece.
Fantastic piece.
So
maybe, just maybe.
See what piece two he gets here.
We may not be making Drum Basher unhappy after all. Maybe we may see a deathless Death Chamber from Nug here.
Slight difference between the two versions. There's no pin next to that door in the GameCube version.
Yeah, that of course is one of the benefits for Yarasu.
Getting Scorpions don't get along, so a good blue piece too. So still a very good chance here of a very good.
Oh.
If he can get this piece.
And Yarasu!
Yarasu with the first try Bopa!
But good grief. Yarasu, whatever prayers you've said, my friend, whatever rituals you've done, they've all paid off, because RNG, fortune is on your side today.
Opting to use the pauses for the camera turn there. Understandable being he's in the IGT at the moment, he can take that time loss.
Yeah, I don't think we saw a death there from Nug in Death Chamber though. So
You are
that's
correct, he
something
did.
good to keep track of.
Yeah, he did just take all the sets straight off of it, so no issues with the additional timing through Death Chamber.
No, none whatsoever. But honestly, the way Yarasu is playing, the way things are going for him, I'm almost thinking we may not even need to worry about it, because this has just been a fantastic run from Yarasu. First try both first, City Safe Chip. Oh! Maybe we spoke too soon here, because Yarasu is flipped back in down to. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not.
It would look like this may have been intentional.
We'll lose an ever so slight amount of time, but not a massive amount. Still coming out of Eternal Engine with a 21.05.
Yeah, he probably lost less than 10 seconds there clipping in, so...
Nug trying to get cap boost there, but not getting it, unfortunately.
Yeah, Nug, a
Waiting
bit
for a
too
few fireballs
close.
to come through.
Yeah, a bit too close to the wall there to get that to work out for him.
Very unfortunate. But just looking to keep pace now. Again, this has been a really, really just one of those examples of a runner putting on a good run. You know, this has been a good run by Nug, make no mistake. But what more can he do? You know, Yarasu has just been performing fantastically. And in the floating containers will be his piece going into Meteor Bird here.
A little surprised not to see in front of the shortcut rocket here. Been a very favourable piece throughout this tournament. With the RNG he's had here, it's, I was kind of expecting it from Yarasu. So he's letting us down with his execution there.
Dangerous water drops taking him up to the top section now. Gonna be interesting to see how Nug approaches Egg Golem, opting to pause buffer his super bounces there. I know you've had a few choice words for me when it comes to pause buffering certain strats.
Oh, and taking
super bounces.
Taking the reset, that looked to be about 7.25 seconds, I think, for Nug.
Yeah, it's looking like he is getting up there, but just struggling in terms of it. Gets up for the second hit now. A 42 Meteor Herd from Yarasu over there on our right screen.
Yeah,
this is
pretty sure,
fantastic.
I'm pretty sure Yarasu can have no complaints with that. I think his RNG has been very favourable throughout this run, so yeah, probably looking to be on very solid pace right now.
I will just take a moment to check actually Yarasu's pace into Rouge on his PB. Just quickly.
We see Nug there getting out of Egg Golem.
Yarasu is ahead of his pace. He entered Rouge at 2150 IGT in his PB. He's 3 seconds ahead of PB pace at this stage of the run. It could be about to see a Yarasu PB. I won't speak too soon, but that just shows that just goes to show the volume of how well he has performed. And Nug now entering Eternal Engine. Yarasu got first try Bofa. Will we see it for both runners here? Will we see both of the runners get both of the first try Bofas?
And also on the opposite side of the screen, Yarasu will be attempting CGSS, I believe. Be hoping for that first try as well.
If Yarasu does get first try CGSS, then well, it's almost a perfect run for him, you know? There's other than things like Zero Cycle and Wall Run, there's not a massive amount more that he could have done to that was better than this in this race.
We do see Nug getting out of bounds second try.
Here we go now. Coming up towards it, he's opting not to go for box hopper, instead for the spin dash jump. Looks like he's through here.
You don't often see people struggling with the goal ring distance with this strategy, so this should be a pretty clean and dry finish here for Yarasu. Although he's a little high.
Slightly high. Gonna have to rescue it.
But does save it very well.
Fortunately for Yarasu, he keeps up this fantastic pace. 52... 95, I believe that says on the clock for his IGT there. 22.55.
That is
Out of
correct.
Crazy Gadget.
I can only imagine just how fast his heart was beating there when he landed on that roof. If it's not something you're used to going for, very, very nervous.
Well, this is the thing, you know. you kind of got to understand that Yarasu in this situation is going to be under a lot of stress. He's going to be, just as you say, his heart's going to be racing a little bit faster. So he needs to just keep his focus. He needs to make sure that he stays in the zone and doesn't fall victim to the nerves. Yeah, fantastic.
14-22, using that faster manip with the bomb strat in the middle. Very cleanly executed. So Yarasu here actually looking on to be 24 IGT pace if you can get the final two.
He's only got a couple hurdles left. Yarasu, you're almost there. Good luck to you, buddy. Let's not obviously rule out Nug just yet, you know? As we say, anything can happen.
I've seen runners struggle with this skip, so usually considered one of the first skips people do learn, so people you'd expect to be consistent at it, but does happen.
Nug will be finishing slightly later than Yarasu. Nug also, with another disadvantage here of GameCube, he has to go up much further to get that Piece 1 hint than Yarasu does, the monitor being right next to Yarasu. Big door that never opens is his Piece 1. Dangerous Liquid Piece 2. The Yarasu now, making a straight shot towards the goal ring now. It all comes down. Does he have enough height? If he does, then he's almost there. And we are about to see, I'm unsure, but certainly one of the fastest runs in the tournament so far. As Nug makes his way up to a glimpse of the Meteorite Piece 3, I believe. Not bad execution there.
It is a very unfortunate Piece 3. One of those frustrating ones you go right all the way past it and then don't quite get it. Yarasu here looking
like he is cleanly through. Gets into Shadow 2 on incredible pace here. All he needs to get over the finish line. And PB in the Hero Story tournament, PB with a 24, all he needs is to just finish off this fight. And he's almost there.
So yeah, definitely say that there had my heart racing a little bit. His distance wasn't great. And sometimes that homing attack cancel there, you think it might help you, but that invisible wall, you don't really contact it in ball form, but you do when you're outside of it. So taking the risk.
Here we go. 5 hits are all that stand between Yarasu and the run of his life. That's 3. Just needs 2 more. 1 to
coming
go.
Up. And he does it!
There we go!
Yarasu, the IGT PB.
A fantastic run. Absolutely superb. Oh my. Well, what can you say about that?
Yarasu delivering those goods when it matters. Massive win here for him. What a performance.
I did it.
That is absolutely fantastic.
If he can keep this sort of form, this will be a lot of players in this tournament and carry him quite a way through it. 24 is a very respectable no reset time, especially in the tournament format with all those extra nerves.
Wow. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, to come out here to do that on this stage. Yarasu, you are right in here. How are you, my friend?
Yo, Yarasu, congratulations. He's a little overwhelmed with the excitement.
Just take a second, man. You alright?
I hope. This was certainly something.
That was incredible. From start to finish, you know, just moment after moment that had me on the edge of my seat, certainly. I mean, I don't know what to say.
I'm so happy, man. Also, this is IGT, which means I'm gonna lose a little bit of time V1. But I technically beat Sora's PB in IGT, which was my goal since like I don't know how many months, but a very long time for sure.
Fully deserve this, my friend. You've put so much time and effort into it, and to do it here on this stage,
this is so cool.
Absolutely fantastic.
I'm so happy for you.
I do have to say, I think you may have popped me as well. So,
do I? Oh, maybe.
I think certainly.
Can I get to a purpose now, lol?
Are we gonna have to swap things around? Oh dear.
So I think that is actually 2 seconds behind your IGT, Tethys. But we'll have to see how it comes out load list. But
I make a lot of decisions which cost me time in V1. So Yarasu, I think you can sit pretty comfortably with a much higher time on the boards now. Incredible run. Totally hats off to you, man.
This is actually the biggest pop-off I've ever had, and no one heard it.
I mean, that's a national record. You know, obviously you said it earlier, but you are the best French hero story runner now. How does that feel?
It is true, and in 2 different timing methods, I guess.
Correct. Absolutely.
It feels very baguette. That's the feeling of. Yeah.
What
on baguette.
What I do want to ask you about Yarasu is that Death Chamber. How are you feeling when you got that confirmed set?
This isn't actually confirmed. This is 50-50.
Oh, the 50-50. Oh, yeah.
The one. The one where you get the 3-piece, the 3P3, is the drywall set. So that's what I popped off to drywall.
If I could just take attention, sorry to interrupt, but Nug looking like he is struggling here just to finish off Final Rush. I think that will probably confirm it. I don't know if there were any doubts in anybody's mind, but that does in fact probably confirm that Yarasu, you've taken the win, you've taken the record. Wow. That's all I can say.
Yeah, same, wow.
I mean, how were you feeling? You know, obviously, when did you start to think that, like, oh, when did that thought of, oh no, come into your head?
Like, oh no, I can PB?
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried to think, to not think about it as much as I could.
Well, you did fantastic. I think we're gonna let you go soak it all in. Go celebrate with everybody in Watch Party, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. And
yeah,
again,
thank you.
Congratulations again.
And thank you for the commentary.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
We do see now, after all that hype of Yarasu there, we see Nug, unfortunately there, not quite having the height to make FR skip. We'll be taking...
It's an unfortunate end for Nug's run, who really, let's not take anything away from Nug. Nug has put on a good show as well here today. Been incredibly misfortunate to come up against that run from Yarasu.
Yeah, sometimes
so
you do just come against those performances sometimes where even at the best of your ability, the other person just is a little bit too good for you, as we have seen in this case.
Well, there we go. You know, I mean... Go ahead.
No, sorry, you go for it, sorry.
I was just going to say that we're hoping to see Nug finish sooner rather than later, just for the sake of time difference, you know, more than anything else, which is an important factor to keep in mind. If we do see any results where draws come into factor, obviously important to get to finish your runs and finish them as soon as possible for your own sake.
Yeah, so this will bring this group reasonably tight at the moment. I think we're going to have Yarasu and Cryptic both at the top of the group on 2 wins each. Yarasu in first place with the time difference, I imagine, although it could be fairly close. And then Nug and Deuse both now going to be 1-1. Nug getting the win over Deuse earlier, and Deuse, I believe, beating, is it Gus, I think? So it's keeping it quite tight in that sort of 3rd to 5th region of who is going to be able to make it out of this group.
That is in fact correct. And if you want to see these runners again, tomorrow Yarasu will be up against Gus at 1 PM Eastern Time, taking up his 3rd match of the tournament, looking to extend his record to 3-0. And Nug's next run, I believe, will be taking place on Wednesday, the 18th, at 8 PM EST, or EDT, up against Hex, looking to take back his positive record, upping it to 2-1. So we see him does. Nug is coming towards the end of his run now, looking to finish off with a nice Shadow 2.
It does get the final hit there. So that'll bring up to about a 26-10, 26-11 on the timer. But that is probably closer to a mid-28 when you actually add up all the deaths, unfortunately, that he had during this run. That main one in Final Rush. But...
Even at 28 is not a bad time to get in this group. You know, that's not going to do the massive damage to his time difference. And it is something positive to take in, of course. You know, he's still got a lot of games to play. Still a long way to go in this group, but a great match here.
I mean, we have seen a couple of 28s in the upper pools, so nothing to be ashamed of seeing them in the lower pools.
I'm not sure what you're referring to be honest. I don't recall.
I was talking about that Master Kurik run against Traitor yesterday, but I do know it's...
Of course, yeah.
But now you bring my attention to it. Yeah, you yourself have a couple of 28.
I don't think I recall, to be honest. Well, there we go. The Nug finishes out. We will calculate the actual IGT for him post-run to get that time difference accuracy. But yeah, I mean, that'll be that then, I suppose. Fantastic showing.
Yes,
Massive congratulations once again to Yarasu.
Yeah, definitely.
GG's to Nug.
And thank you to you, Tepis, for joining in on this commentary.
It's been a pleasure.
And our next match is one that I very much have my eye on. It will be the first match in my group, Group A. We'll be seeing the second-seeded player, Dawn, against the fourth-seeded Ninja Frog. So one I very much have my attention on and the grace to commentate. So very much looking forward to that as we do move back into the upper pool.
I won't be commentating on that match. Hopefully, I have lived up to my successor in the commentary booth for that next match, Mikey Cool Money. So,
I mean, it's a pretty high bar to try and meet matching. Yeah, Mikey will be taking over for Tethys against the original schedule in commentary for that match, and very much looking forward to it.